Hello again, I'm Jenny Luddington,
And I'm Sue Allsworth.
and welcome to our weekly vlog 12 Ways to Enhance Your Life. And this is week 5, and we are talking you today about being loving to your negatives. Now, last week we talked about stopping all criticism, and realistically, that can be quite challenging because we have hundreds of thousands of thoughts every day. Hopefully, loads of those will be positive, but some of them might be negative. So, what is it that negative thoughts do? Why do we have them? And what can we do with them? Now, to begin with, I think it's important to realise that we create our negative thoughts, and we create those negative thoughts to fulfill a purpose. And if we can get behind why those negative thoughts were created in the first place, we're in a really good place to start doing some work to release them. So, Sue, have you had any negative thoughts recently?
Yeah, actually, last Friday, I was actually in a recording studio doing some recordings for my meditations and audios that I hopefully will be releasing soon alongside my books. But as I was driving down, because I had to go further down the coast to where I was going, and as I'm driving down, I'm in my positive little world, and then all of a sudden, those little thoughts of who am I? Who do you think you are to be going and doing this? Who am I? And these are all previous judgments that either myself or I fear that other people might have of me. And it was interesting because I'm quite quick at recognizing negative thoughts now
Yeah.
and batting them away, shall we say. And I use a lot of music. So as soon as I am aware that I've got a negative thought, I'll put on some positive music and get me out of that loop, distract the brain. And then it's a case of I'm the one that's thought them, so I'm the one that's got to get rid of them. And it's finding your own ways, your own techniques. What works for me doesn't necessarily work for Jenny and doesn't necessarily work for you, but there's so many tools and different techniques that you can use out there, and it's a case of trying them all and seeing what works for you. Singing and music is one way of lifting up my energy and my spirits and completely forgetting what I was thinking about by the time I've sang a song, sort of thing. um, but it's also then literally I'm the only one that's in my brain, so I'm the only one that can sit there and go, now that thought, that negative thought can either stop me from what I'm about to do and stop me from doing something that is pretty awesome, even though it's new and it's different to what I'm used to experiencing. But it's up to me to get in there and go, thanks ever so much. And in the past, those doubts might have come in handy because I wasn't quite ready to go on a new journey, experience new things, but I am now. And saying basically, thanks ever so much. But I'm not going to let you have any power over me. We all have these negative thoughts, and it's actually down to us on to how much power we decide and choose to let those doubts and negative thoughts have over us. Are we really going to let that one little thought, wherever it's come from, actually stop us from fulfilling our true potential, fulfilling a dream, fulfilling a goal? Because that's, at the end of the day, what stops us from fulfilling a lot of these things is that one little negative thought. And that can upset the whole apple cart. How about you?
Well, just picking up on what you were saying, that was a fear about performance or trying something new. And that's really, really valid as a negative thought. And they do actually serve a purpose. If we're worried about trying something new, we can acknowledge that feeling and think, well, what is that feeling? So, an observation without a judgment. What am I actually feeling? What am I sitting here feeling? And if it's a fear, you can say, thank you. And if it's a fear of about performance, you can make sure that you rehearse or you take time out to practice whatever it is that you're going to be performing so that you can build up your confidence. So a negative thought isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
It's a warning. So you can listen to that negative thought and say, actually, what are you trying to tell me?
And I mean, we have negative thoughts when we're human at the end of the day, and we've had negative thoughts put into us from family, from society, from friends, from school, from all sorts of places over the years. And even when you think that you've got rid of them, they still will have a habit every now and then. If you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and doing something new, especially, they're going to have a habit of coming back up. And mine is the crutch of mine, my fears for that specific thing is actually a fear of old judgments from certain people of my past who are not necessarily no longer in my life, but who could see what I'm doing now and will judge me from who I was and where I was, which is valid because that judging from that place, then I wasn't necessarily in a good place back then, but I'm different, I'm changed, and it's that fear of those old people. And then I suddenly thought to myself, what on earth am I doing? Why am I letting someone who isn't any, or people who aren't no longer in my life, still affecting me and having power over what it is that I do? So lovingly, I bless them on their way, and realize that they're just doing the best that they can. I'm doing the best that I can, and that this is my new life. This is where I want it to go, and to vibrate at a higher level, you just have to sometimes push through that little barrier of uncomfortableness and fear and get on with it. And then you'll realize that once you've done that, oh my God, you're actually capable of so much more. And at the end of the day, what does it really matter what anyone else thinks? If this is what I feel that I should be doing, then that's all that actually matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Especially when I have a fan club like Jenny here, who is brilliant at supporting me.
And I'd like to go back to that idea about being loving to your negatives, because I think quite often we are critical of our negatives. And
we beat ourselves up.
Yeah. I have been in the past terrible for catastrophizing. So I start with this small negative, and I'm going to go to an example of relationships. If you think you've upset a friend, you never do the obvious thing of, asking a friend, have I upset you? Or just checking in, is everything okay? You analyse everything, thinking, did I do wrong? They absolutely hate me. They're not phoning me. Whereas that friend may be busy. That friend may have things on their mind. That friend may just
have a life,
be doing stuff, be busy with life. So what I'd like you to consider is, I had a brilliant acronym shared with me called FEAR, and it's false evidence appearing real. And it's been so useful for me in my...
Can you repeat that, please?
False evidence appearing real. So when you have got a negative thought in your head and it's building up a little bit of momentum, it's a little stampeding elephant of fear now, think to yourself, actually, what is the evidence to support this belief that I have? And if you can come up with some other scenarios why that friend hasn't called, well, they might be busy, they've just started a new job. Actually, you haven't reached out to them in a time. You can then kind of reel back some of that negative thoughts and, give other people the benefit of the doubt. Treat them the way that you would like to be treated, loving acceptance. And I think that about rounds up what we'd like to say to you today about loving your negatives. You know, they're not always a bad thing.
No.
Be observant of the emotions behind your fears.
And don't fear the fear.
No. So thank you very much for checking in with us again this week. As always, you can find me on Facebook at All Heart Led.
And you can find me, Sue Orsworth, on Facebook and at AuthenticSmile.com.
And we look forward to seeing you next week.
So until next week, take care and be kind to yourself. You're doing the best that you can, and I'm sure that is awesome. Bye.
Bye-bye.